Welcome to FinTech Matrix, where tech meets money and trends become power. Today is Monday, July 7, 2025. In tonight's top stories, former President Trump signs a sweeping tax and spending bill, sparking economic debates and a wave of Treasury activity. Ethereum's Vitalik Buterin pushes a new proposal to reshape gas fees. Samsung's trifold phone and Amazon's robotic workforce dominate tech headlines. And Elon Musk stuns the political landscape by launching his own party. Plus, we cover the latest crypto seizures, AI's job market impact, and the economic fallout from ongoing global tariffs. Let's start with what's moving the markets today. Here's your finance update. The U.S. financial system experienced major movements from July 4th through July 7th, fueled by policy shifts, capital flows, and global volatility. These developments are reshaping investor sentiment and driving urgent responses from regulators, markets, and corporations alike. Trump signs $3.4 trillion Big Beautiful Bill. A new fiscal era begins. On July 4th, former President Donald Trump signed into law the Big Beautiful Bill, a comprehensive tax and spending package designed to anchor his campaign platform ahead of the 2026 midterms. The legislation combines sweeping corporate tax cuts, deregulation incentives, and aggressive infrastructure spending. Highlights include a reduction of the corporate tax rate to 18%, down from 21%, a 12% flat tax option for individuals earning above $1 million, $1.2 trillion allocated to energy independence projects, including nuclear and domestic LNG, $700 billion earmarked for border infrastructure and surveillance. Critics have raised alarms over the bill's projected long-term impact. The Congressional Budget Office estimates it will increase the federal deficit by $3.4 trillion over the next 10 years, reigniting debates over sovereign debt sustainability. Credit markets responded swiftly. The yield on 10-year Treasuries jumped 13 basis points, hitting 4.71%, its highest level since February, while credit default swaps on U.S. sovereign debt widened by 8 basis points, a sign of growing investor unease. Treasury gears up for record-breaking debt sales. To fund the new spending initiatives, the U.S. Treasury is preparing for the largest short-term debt issuance in over 2 decades. Between July and December, the department is expected to float over $2 trillion in 3-month and 6-month T-bills. Primary dealers have signaled strong interest, but market strategists warn of liquidity disruptions in repo markets and potential distortions to the yield curve. Short-term yields have surged in anticipation, with the 3-month rate touching 5.49%, approaching levels last seen during the 2008 crisis. Analysts at Goldman Sachs note that debt servicing costs now represent nearly 13% of total federal expenditures, a level that could trigger rating downgrades if unchecked. Wall Street bulls charge, but for how long? The S&P 500 closed up 1.8% for the week, extending its rally to more than 20% since April and officially entering bull market territory. Tech and financials led the surge, with chipmakers like NVIDIA, AMD, and Intel pushing to fresh record highs amid sustained demand for AI computing. Key drivers include robust Q2 earnings reports, continued strength in consumer spending, strong global demand for U.S.-based semiconductors and data center infrastructure. Yet caution flags are rising. Price-to-earnings ratios on high-growth stocks have returned to frothy 2021 levels. Analysts from Bank of America and Morgan Stanley warn of a growth bubble 2.0, with some stocks trading at 40x forward earnings. Additionally, margin compression is quietly accelerating. Labor costs remain high, and energy inputs are squeezing industrial producers. If inflation proves sticky, corporate profitability could falter in Q3. Bank earnings preview, early signals from major players. 3 of the U.S.'s biggest banks, J.P. Morgan Chase, Morgan Stanley, and Bank of America, issued preliminary Q2 guidance. Highlights include J.P. Morgan Chase reported a 7% year-over-year increase in net interest income, driven by sustained loan growth and strong credit quality. Morgan Stanley noted a rebound in investment banking revenue, fueled by IPO activity and cross-border M&A. Bank of America pointed to improved trading volumes and stability in mortgage lending. Meanwhile, Robinhood shares climbed 8.4% following news of increased retail participation, and Coinbase rose 6.7% on reports that the SEC is considering fast-tracking Ethereum spot ETF approvals. Together, these results suggest resilience in both institutional and retail finance, but also expose a market heavily dependent on monetary policy cues and regulatory clarity. U.S. dollar rises amid trade jitters. The U.S. dollar index rose to a 3-week high, buoyed by safe haven demand as global tariff tensions reignited. Talks between the U.S. and Southeast Asian trade partners have stalled, with the White House threatening a 36% tariff on imported electronics from Vietnam and Thailand. Currency analysts are monitoring capital flight trends in the region. Both nations have begun renegotiating trade frameworks to maintain export access to Western markets. The Thai baht and Vietnamese dong have weakened significantly against the dollar, adding to inflationary pressures across Asia. The dollar's strength is also attracting renewed interest from sovereign wealth funds, particularly in the Middle East, where energy-exporting nations are shifting reserves back into USD-denominated assets after diversifying into gold and yuan in early 2024. China repositions its reserve strategy. The People's Bank of China, PBOC, has initiated quiet consultations with major financial institutions regarding the long-term weakening of the U.S. dollar and its implications for global currency stability. In response, the PBOC is considering doubling foreign bond quotas for state-linked firms, reallocating up to $200 billion toward U.S. Treasuries, Eurobonds, and Japanese government bonds, reducing gold purchases in the second half of 2025 due to price plateauing. These moves reflect a recalibration of China's foreign reserve diversification strategy. With tensions growing over chip exports, AI sanctions, and rare earth controls, Beijing is hedging its geopolitical risks while preserving macroeconomic flexibility. Europe, steady rates, uneven recovery. In the UK, the Bank of England is widely expected to hold its benchmark rate steady at 5.25% as inflation moderates to 3.8%. However, the path forward remains murky. Wage inflation remains stubbornly high, especially in public services and hospitality. The housing market is weakening, with average home prices down 4.2% year-over-year. Business investment is slowing, impacted by Brexit trade friction and a weaker pound. FTSE 100 companies with international exposure, including HSBC, GlaxoSmithKline, and Shell, showed mixed results this week amid increased currency volatility. Elsewhere in Europe, Germany's factory order surprised to the upside, rising 1.3% in June. However, sentiment remains subdued amid ongoing energy price volatility and concerns over Chinese demand. Commodities check in, volatile but range-bound. Brent crude held near $84 per barrel, supported by speculation of additional output cuts from OPEC+. Saudi Arabia hinted it may extend voluntary production limits into Q4 if inventories remain elevated. Natural gas fell 1.9% as Midwest U.S. storage hubs reported higher than expected reserves. Gold remained stable at $2,340 per ounce, backed by central bank purchases and continued Asian retail interest. However, ETF inflows have begun to plateau, signaling potential softening in speculative demand. Crypto spotlight. The digital assets sector faced both enforcement pressure and innovation announcements this weekend. $400 million seized in ransomware crackdown. The U.S. Secret Service confirmed the successful seizure of a cold wallet containing over $400 million in illicit crypto assets, linked to a ransomware ring operating across Eastern Europe and Southeast Asia. The wallet included 5,700 BTC, 42,000 ETH, smaller holdings in Monero, Dash, and Tether. The operation marks one of the largest cross-border crypto enforcement actions in history. Authorities say the effort involved blockchain surveillance tools, undercover operatives, and cooperation with Europol and Interpol. The DOJ emphasized that future enforcement efforts will focus on choke point infrastructure, mixers, decentralized exchanges, and bridging platforms to disrupt laundering channels. Vitalik Buterin proposes dynamic gas fee cap. Ethereum co-founder Vitalik Buterin released EIP 7983, co-authored with developers from Starkware and Scroll. The proposal seeks to implement Dynamic caps on gas fees based on network load. Enhanced compatibility with zero-knowledge virtual machines, ZKVMs. Fee smoothing mechanisms to reduce volatility for retail users. If approved, this upgrade could be included in Ethereum's next Shanghai 2.0 hard fork, slated for Q4 2025. The move is seen as critical for scaling the network in a sustainable way as institutional usage expands. Market snapshot. Holding firm. Bitcoin, BTC $70,630. Ethereum, ETH $3,730. Solana, SOL $182.40. Crypto Fear and Greed Index, 54 neutral. Despite recent volatility, institutional interest remains strong. BlackRock and Fidelity both increased their ETH holdings this week, ahead of anticipated SEC guidance on Ethereum ETF approvals. Meanwhile, Grayscale's lawsuit against the SEC has moved into the oral argument phase, with implications for multiple pending ETF applications across Ethereum and Solana. DeFi and tokenization trends. DeFi total value locked, TVL, rose 4.3% week over week, now exceeding $92 billion across chains. The top-performing platforms included Arbitrum, plus 6.1% TVL growth. Optimism, plus 5.4%. Base, plus 3.9%. Tokenized real-world assets, RWAs, particularly short-term T-bills and carbon credits, saw surging activity. Projects like Ondo Finance and Maple are attracting capital from institutional allocators seeking yield in tokenized instruments. Finance wrap-up. Bottom line, the global financial ecosystem is shifting under the weight of fiscal stimulus, rising yields, and geopolitical turbulence. The U.S. is betting big on growth, but at the cost of soaring debt and short-term volatility. Crypto markets remain resilient despite enforcement actions, while central banks and sovereign actors are quietly adjusting their strategies in a more polarized global economy. This is your FinTech Matrix Finance Deep Dive. Now let's shift gears to explore the technology trends redefining everything from smartphones to the future of AI-powered work. Tech segment. The global tech ecosystem continues to advance at breakneck speed, redefining markets and reshaping daily life. Over the last 72 hours, major developments have emerged across AI infrastructure, robotics, telecom, consumer electronics, Web3, enterprise transformation, and regulatory frameworks, signaling a new era of technological acceleration. Let's begin with what's shaping the devices in your hand and the networks behind them. Samsung unveils revolutionary trifold smartphone prototype. At the Global Mobility Innovation Forum in Seoul, Samsung unveiled its trifold smartphone prototype, reigniting excitement in the post-smartphone era. The device features 3 folding AMOLED panels with an unfolded screen size of 9.2 inches, integrated stylus support, multi-app split view, and reverse hinge modes, graphene-based cooling for sustained performance during multitasking. Industry analysts say this innovation positions Samsung as the front-runner in the race toward fully modular personal computing. The trifold is slated for release in Q4 2025, just ahead of Apple's expected dual-screen iPhone Ultra. The global foldable market surpassed 35 million units sold annually, with Chinese manufacturers like Huawei, Oppo, and Honor also racing to capture premium device market share. Industry executives anticipate a 43% year-over-year growth in foldable shipments by year-end. Amazon's warehouse automation hits milestone. Amazon disclosed that it now operates over 1 million autonomous robots across its global fulfillment network, nearly equaling its total human workforce of 1.3 million. Key innovations include vision-based forklifts that navigate warehouse layouts without QR codes, AI-powered inventory pickers that learn from human feedback loops, predictive logistics systems that optimize order flow dynamically. Internal reports indicate that 70% of all warehouse tasks are now fully automated. Amazon aims to cut injury rates by 25%, save up to $1 billion annually in labor costs, increase shipment accuracy to 99.7%. Warehouse robotics from Boston Dynamics, Agility Robotics, and Amazon's in-house ProCheese division are expected to dominate the 2025 Robotics Expo circuit. AI-fueled layoffs and hiring shake up the job market. Tech labor markets are shifting rapidly. So far in 2025, over 94,000 layoffs have been announced in tech firms worldwide, with the majority targeting QA engineers, mid-level software developers, content writers, social media managers. These roles are increasingly being replaced by LLMs, image generators, and automated DevOps systems. However, demand is surging for AI-adjacent roles. Prompt engineers, synthetic data trainers, model validation experts, data governance consultants. LinkedIn reports that prompt engineering job listings are up 580% year-over-year, with compensation ranging from $140,000 to over $300,000 in North America. Groq launches first European AI data center. Silicon Valley chipmaker Groq has opened its first European data center in Frankfurt. Unlike general-purpose GPU clusters, Groq's facility is optimized for real-time LLM inference, low-latency image recognition, regulatory-compliant data workflows. The data center uses tensor streaming processors, delivering throughput rates up to 30% higher than traditional architectures, while operating with lower power density. This directly challenges NVIDIA's DGX cloud dominance, with Groq already onboarding clients in legal tech, FinTech, and medical diagnostics across the EU. AI governance and regulation. Europe and US diverge. The European Union has formally entered the implementation phase of its AI Act, which classifies AI systems into 4 risk categories. The law prohibits systems deemed to carry unacceptable risk, requires registration of high-risk systems in finance, health, and policing, mandates transparency and explainability for foundation models. Non-compliant organizations face fines up to 30 million euros, or 6% of global turnover. Meanwhile, in the United States, Congress is reviewing the AI Ethics and Transparency Act, a bipartisan bill requiring disclosure of training data provenance, bias auditing reports, hallucination likelihood scores for LLMs. Industry groups like the Partnership on AI and OpenAI have issued joint statements supporting parts of the bill, but warn that rigid disclosure mandates could stifle innovation. Thoma Bravo acquires Olo in $2 billion SaaS deal. Private equity firm Thoma Bravo has acquired Olo, a restaurant technology platform, in a $2 billion all-cash deal. Olo provides white-label ordering, payments, and loyalty infrastructure to over 600 brands, including Shake Shack, Wingstop, and Noodles & Company. The acquisition is aimed at integrating Olo into Thoma Bravo's expanding SaaS portfolio, which includes cybersecurity firm Sophos and enterprise cloud provider Q80. The deal is set to close in Q3 2025, pending regulatory clearance. Olo's last earnings report showed a 19% YoY increase in revenue and a 31% surge in mobile orders, signaling the rise of invisible dining tech across the U.S. food service industry. Enterprise tech, restructuring at DXC Technology. IT services giant DXC Technology has appointed Ramnath Venkataraman as its new president of consulting and engineering. Venkataraman, a 30-year industry veteran formerly at Infosys, is tasked with reversing declining client satisfaction scores, accelerating cloud modernization projects, expanding global delivery capabilities. DXC is restructuring its $17 billion business into 3 verticals: cloud transformation, AI consulting, and digital workplace services. The company is expected to reduce headcount by 7% while investing $400 million in AI-native solutions. EdTech Spotlight. NetDragon expands AI-powered learning. Chinese education technology company NetDragon has won the Rising Star Award at the Hong Kong Sustainable Innovation Awards. The company has developed AI tutoring systems that adapt to student behavior in real time, gamified learning platforms for primary and secondary education, remote classroom tools for under-resourced regions. NetDragon expanded to 22 new markets in the past year, with its Edmodo 3.0 platform gaining traction across Southeast Asia, the Middle East, and parts of Eastern Europe. Web3 tech and Ethereum's evolution. In the decentralized space, Ethereum developers are advancing EIP 7983, a proposal to implement dynamic gas fee caps. The goal is to make transaction fees predictable during high network congestion, improve compatibility with zero-knowledge rollups, stabilize user experience for dApps and L2 protocols. Supporters believe this could usher in a new era of scalable decentralized finance and social applications. However, critics argue the mechanism may shift fee-setting power to protocol developers, raising centralization concerns. Meanwhile, Ethereum-based projects focused on RWAs, real-world assets, are surging. Tokenized Treasury bills, carbon credits, and music royalties now account for over $7.2 billion in locked value. Startup Roundup: 36 new unicorns in Q2. The second quarter of 2025 produced 36 new unicorns, with a significant concentration in AI-first verticals. Standout startups include Clean AI, developer of AI-powered recycling sorters used in Europe and Japan; Cognitia, creator of a real-time LLM interface for medical diagnostics; Zentask, enterprise productivity software using autonomous agents for task delegation; Vaultflow, secure AI memory storage layer for compliance-heavy industries. The average valuation of new unicorns reached $1.6 billion, with Series C rounds increasingly led by sovereign wealth funds and pension-backed megafunds. Tech culture: Elon Musk launches America Party. In a surprising political pivot, Elon Musk announced the formation of the America Party, signaling a potential foray into formal politics. While specifics are sparse, early indications suggest a focus on AI ethics and national data sovereignty, campaign finance reform, support for space industrialization and energy independence. Tech insiders speculate that Musk's party could serve as a platform to influence AI governance legislation while securing favorable regulatory conditions for ventures like XAI and Starlink. Tech wrap-up: bottom line, tech in 2025 is about speed, scale, and selective disruption. From Samsung's foldables redefining mobile design to Amazon's warehouses running on autonomous labor, innovation is no longer additive, it's exponential. The rise of Groq's AI infrastructure, Ethereum's evolving protocols, and the global AI governance push are setting the rules for the next decade. Meanwhile, job roles, startup valuations, and political boundaries are all being reshaped by software. That's your full tech intelligence briefing. Up next, what's trending in the headlines that everyone's talking about? Trending headlines. The world of trending news moves fast, from political disruption to climate emergencies, public health threats, global culture, and viral digital movements. As of July 7th, 2025, these are the stories dominating headlines, shaping online discourse, and setting the tone for global conversation. Let's begin with a political announcement shaking the foundations of U.S. governance and tech policy. Elon Musk launches the America Party, political earthquake or PR play. In a move that caught political insiders and tech watchers by surprise, billionaire entrepreneur Elon Musk, CEO of Tesla, SpaceX, Neuralink, and XAI, has formally announced the creation of a new political entity, the America Party. The announcement, made via a live stream from SpaceX headquarters in Texas, comes just 16 months ahead of the 2026 U.S. midterm elections. According to Musk, the America Party will focus on AI transparency legislation, decentralized identity infrastructure, space industrialization and lunar mining policy, education reform rooted in STEM and free speech principles. While Musk stopped short of announcing a personal run for public office, sources close to his team suggest exploratory committees are forming behind the scenes. Reactions are deeply divided. Supporters hail the move as bold and timely, applauding Musk for challenging what they see as a stagnant two-party system and introducing high-tech policy solutions. Critics, including members of both the Republican and Democratic National Committees, warn of billionaire overreach, unelected influence, and the potential erosion of democratic institutions. Political analysts say this announcement could pull libertarian and tech-focused voters away from traditional parties, influence policy debates on AI safety, blockchain governance, and space treaties, complicate corporate neutrality for Musk-owned brands like Tesla and X, formerly Twitter. The Federal Election Commission is expected to review campaign finance disclosures related to the new organization in the coming weeks. Texas faces catastrophic flood damage as climate warnings intensify. In central Texas, emergency responders continue working around the clock to assist residents devastated by last week's unprecedented flash flooding. A stalled atmospheric river system dumped more than 15 inches of rain across 5 counties in just 48 hours, triggering massive flash floods in Austin, Waco, and San Marcos. Our infrastructure failures, including collapsed bridges and overwhelmed stormwater systems. Over 18,000 displaced residents and at least 12 confirmed fatalities. Damage estimates now exceed $1.2 billion, with additional federal disaster funds expected following FEMA's expanded response order. Scientists from NOAA and the National Climate Assessment warn that such events are likely to increase in both frequency and intensity, driven by warming oceans and disrupted jet stream patterns. Texas Governor Leland Boyd has issued a 90-day infrastructure review directive with bipartisan support for fast-tracked upgrades. Nationally, climate response is moving up the policy agenda. The Department of Energy has launched a new $8 billion resilience grant aimed at reinforcing grid and flood protection in high-risk zones across 11 states. CDC issues national measles alert amid multi-state outbreak. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, has issued a Level 2 national health alert in response to a measles outbreak now affecting at least 6 U.S. states, including Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Georgia, New York, and Arizona. So far, 117 confirmed cases have been reported, many linked to international travelers in regions with low MMR, measles, mumps, rubella vaccination rates. Health officials are urging immediate verification of children's immunization records, outreach programs for under-vaccinated communities, enhanced airport screening protocols in major international hubs. The outbreak has reignited debates over vaccine misinformation, with online platforms like X and Rumble facing scrutiny over the proliferation of anti-vaccine content. Globally, the World Health Organization reports rising measles cases in South Asia, Sub-Saharan Africa, and parts of Eastern Europe, pointing to pandemic-related setbacks in immunization campaigns. Mushroom murder trial captivates nation and sparks food safety reform. In Illinois, a criminal trial dubbed the mushroom murder has captured national attention. Defendant Emily Carter, 38, stands accused of intentionally serving toxic wild mushrooms at a backyard family dinner, resulting in the deaths of 2 relatives and hospitalization of 3 others. The prosecution argues premeditation, citing foraging books, online searches, and conflicting witness statements. The defense claims misidentification and emotional trauma. The trial has triggered debates over culinary foraging regulations, sparked increased interest in mycology education and poison control reform, prompted state legislatures in Illinois, Oregon, and Vermont to draft new food safety and labeling laws. Social media platforms have exploded with mushroom identification tutorials, foraging guides, and debates over culinary risk versus culinary freedom. A verdict is expected by the end of the week, with prosecutors seeking second-degree murder charges. Naomi Campbell stuns at London Pride as global culture roars back. Over the weekend, London Pride drew more than 1.5 million attendees, marking one of the largest LGBTQ+ celebrations in the city's history. Highlights included Naomi Campbell's surprise appearance, walking in a rainbow sequin gown alongside LGBTQ+ youth advocates. Performances from global music stars, including Sam Smith and Janelle Monáe. Political speeches demanding increased protections for trans youth and asylum seekers. In Paris, Milan, and Sao Paulo, sister events saw record turnouts as well, signaling a return to pre-pandemic levels of global cultural movement and celebration. Meanwhile, in New York City, Broadway's Ariana DeBose hosted the 4th of July celebrations, featuring AI-composed symphonies created in collaboration with Google DeepMind, a drone light show depicting major moments in American civil rights history, a live performances from Alicia Keys and the New York Philharmonic. Viral trend alert, Back to the 90s challenge takes over the internet. Across TikTok, YouTube Shorts, and Instagram Reels, the viral trend Back to the 90s challenge is dominating feeds worldwide. The premise: Gen Z and Alpha creators reimagine 1990s pop culture moments using AI-generated deepfakes of classic celebrities like Britney Spears and Tupac. VHS-style video filters and grain overlays. Green screen inserts recreating scenes from Friends, Saved by the Bell, and The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. The trend has launched a wave of retro nostalgia marketing. Major brands have joined in. Pepsi launched a 90s-themed limited edition can. Nike re-released its 1996 Air more up-tempo with a digital twin NFT. Spotify released a curated playlist algorithm called Auto Reverse, mixing 90s hits with modern interpolations. Sociologists say the trend reflects a broader desire for low-stimulation aesthetics and a return to pre-surveillance era social dynamics. Global trending picks, quickfire rundown. India. Bollywood icon Deepika Padukone is set to play the lead role in a new Netflix sci-fi series centered on AI consciousness and Indian mythology. Japan. Nintendo has confirmed development of a metaverse-style platform linked to its upcoming Switch Pro console, slated for early 2026. Nigeria. Protests erupt in Lagos after data leaks from a popular FinTech app exposed biometric and financial data of over 2 million users. Canada. The Toronto Film Festival announced an AI-only film category for 2025, with over 180 submissions from independent creators. Trend wrap-up. Bottom line. From Elon Musk's disruptive political entrance to the devastation in Texas, a viral mushroom trial, and the digital revival of the 90s, trending stories this week cut across politics, health, culture, and tech. These headlines aren't just noise. They are early indicators of deeper undercurrents, political realignments, climate vulnerability, digital nostalgia, and global shifts in regulation and ethics. That's today's FinTech Matrix drop. Musk enters politics, reshaping regulation and big tech's future. Massive U.S. floods raise urgent questions about infrastructure and climate resilience. Crypto seizures, AI chip wars, and Ethereum's next chapter, the digital battleground, is heating up. Meanwhile, jobs evolve, gadgets fold, and the 90s are trending again, thanks to Gen Z's nostalgia revival. The world of finance and tech doesn't wait, and neither do we. Stay ahead, stay informed, and keep watching. This is FinTech Matrix, bringing finance, tech, and trends to your doorstep. Thanks for watching. Stay ahead, stay informed. Keep watching FinTech Matrix. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe for daily updates.